They called her the janitor's daughter behind her back. Dr. Brennan sneered as she pushed her mop past the surgical wing. Someone should remind maintenance to use the service elevator. She didn't respond. She never did. But when the convoy victim crashed through those ER doors, 15 minutes from bleeding out, shrapnel in his chest, everything changed. "Get me a real surgeon," Brennan shouted, scrubbing in. The patient's eyes snapped open, blood on his lips, one word. "Reyes!" Her hand stopped on the mop handle. "Captain Elena Reyes," he whispered. "Mosul, 2019. The room went silent. Brennan turned. "What the hell is he talking about?" That's when she dropped the mop. "Someone get me a scalpel," she said quietly. "Now." Dr. Brennan's arm shot across the doorway. "Absolutely not." Elena stopped, the mop handle still in her hand. Her scrubs faded blue, the kind maintenance wore, the kind nobody noticed. "Ma'am, you need to step back." Brennan's voice carried that particular edge, the one reserved for people who didn't belong. "This is a restricted area." Behind her, the trauma bay exploded with sound, monitor alarms shrieking, voices overlapping, someone shouting for blood. "Typo negative, 6 units, now." Elena could see past Brennan's shoulder, could see the man on the table. Tactical vest half removed, blood pooling beneath him, so much blood. "I can help," her voice quiet. Steady. Brennan's laugh was sharp. "Help? Your maintenance? Security?" 2 guards appeared, hands already reaching for Elena's arms. The administrative coordinator rushed over, young, flustered, tablet clutched to her chest. "Dr. Brennan, what's... Oh." She stared at Elena. "She's from the cleaning crew. I don't know how she got past the..." "Remove her." Brennan turned back toward the trauma bay. Dismissed. Done. Inside, the patient seized, his whole body arcing off the table. The residents jumped back. Instruments clattered to the floor, the attending grabbing for paddles that weren't charged yet. Cardiac arrest, right there, right in front of everyone. Elena's hands tightened on the mop handle. The patient's eyes found hers through the chaos, found her across the room, through the bodies, through everything. Found her like he'd been searching. His lips moved, barely a whisper. Damascus Protocol. The words cut through the noise. Through 4 years of silence, through every midnight shift and every floor she'd mopped and every time she'd walked past an OR and felt her hands ache. "She knows." His voice breaking, blood on his teeth. Only one. Then he stopped breathing. 4 years. 4 years of mops and midnight shifts. 4 years of hiding. Elena dropped the mop. His subclavian artery is severed. Her voice different now. Command voice, combat voice. "You have 90 seconds. Brennan spun. "What did you just..." 90 seconds before he bleeds out completely." Elena moved forward, the security guards still confused, still trying to figure out what was happening. Maybe less. "Security! Now!" But Elena was already moving. No permission, no hesitation. She grabbed gloves from the wall dispenser, snapped them on. Each movement precise, practiced, muscle memory from 1,000 surgeries in 1,000 impossible places. The residents stood frozen, staring, Brennan screaming, "Stop her! Someone stop her right now!" Elena's hand closed around the scalpel on the instrument tray. Her other hand found the retractor. She moved to the table. The patient's chest opened from the attending's failed attempt. Blood everywhere, the bleeder hidden somewhere in that mess, somewhere the residents couldn't find, somewhere the attending had missed. But Elena knew. She'd seen this exact injury 47 times. Retractor, not a request, a command. Her hands moved, fast, impossibly fast, the kind of speed you learned when every second was life or death, when the difference between golden hour and gone was measured in heartbeats. "Suction," a nurse responded automatically. Training overriding confusion. Placed the suction in Elena's left hand. Blood cleared. There, the subclavian, torn almost through, pumping what was left of his blood volume into his chest cavity. "Clamp the bleeder." Another nurse, hesitant, but moving. Elena's fingers worked, intercostal approach, sliding between the ribs, avoiding the brachial plexus, the movement so familiar, her hands remembered even when her mind had tried to forget. Brennan still shouting, "I'm calling the police! This is assault!" But quieter now, because she could see, everyone could see. 90 seconds. Elena's world compressed, each movement deliberate, calculated, perfect, Clamp applied, bleeder controlled, sutures placed with precision that made the residents lean closer, made them forget they were supposed to be stopping this, made them watch instead. Time stopped meaning anything except the rhythm of the procedure, until it didn't. Until the monitor changed its tone, the flatline shriek becoming something else, a beep, slow, weak. But there, another beep, stronger. The vitals climbing on the screen, 60/40, barely sustainable, but sustainable. Another few seconds, 70/45, 80/50, holding. Elena stepped back, stripped off the gloves, let them fall to the floor. The room had gone silent, just the monitors, just the steady beep of a heart that was beating again, of a man who was alive when he shouldn't be. Brennan's face was white, rage there, but something else underneath, something that looked like disbelief. Like the world had just shifted and she didn't understand the new angles. He needs a thoracic surgeon for the shrapnel. Elena's voice back to normal, quiet, almost soft. I've bought you 20 minutes, maybe 30 if you're lucky. She turned toward the door, walked. The security guards parted without touching her. Walsh's hand shot out, grabbed her wrist, his grip weak but desperate, his eyes open now, focused, looking at her with recognition that made her chest tight. Don't, the word barely audible. Let her. Leave. He pulled her closer, whispered coordinates, numbers she'd tried to forget, a mission designation that still haunted her sleep. Operation Crimson Sand. The room shifted again, Brennan's voice cutting through. Someone explain what the hell's happening. Footsteps in the hallway, fast, urgent, the hospital administrator, Dr. Vance, still in his suit from whatever meeting he'd been pulled from, his face confused, then shocked, then something Elena couldn't quite read. Dr. Reyes. He stopped in the doorway, stared. We thought you were. Elena met his eyes, held them. Dead. She said it simply, factually. Most people do. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and fear. Elena sat in the maintenance uniform, still spotted with Walsh's blood, the fabric stiff where it had dried. She hadn't been offered time to change. Hadn't asked. Dr. Vance stood at the head of the table, tablet in hand, security footage queued up and ready. Brennan sat across from Elena, arms crossed, jaw tight. Two administrators flanked Vance, legal counsel, human resources, the institutional firing squad. Your medical license was suspended 4 years ago. Vance's voice was careful, professional. Voluntarily according to the records. Brennan leaned forward. So she's been practicing without a license. That's malpractice. Criminal. I haven't practiced. Elena's voice was quiet. Until 20 minutes ago. Then what were you doing here? Vance scrolled through something on his tablet. You've been employed as maintenance staff for 18 months. Background check came back clean. References verified. But the name. He looked up. Elena Reyes isn't the name on your employment file. No. Want to tell us what is? Before Elena could answer, the door opened. A nurse, young, out of breath. Dr. Vance, the patient in Trauma 1. He's awake. He's asking for her. Eyes on Elena. By name, and there are federal agents here. Brennan stood. Federal what? The walk to the ICU was silent. Elena could feel Brennan behind her, could feel the questions building, the anger, the confusion that was slowly becoming something else. Walsh was propped up when they entered, chest tube draining, monitor showing stable rhythms, two men in dark suits standing by the window, not hospital security, something else entirely, federal agents, real ones. Walsh's eyes found Elena. Captain, the word hung in the air. Brennan moved forward. I don't know what's happening here, but this woman just performed surgery without authorization, without credentials. She needs to be removed from this facility immediately. One of the agents turned, badge already out. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step outside. This is my hospital, my trauma bay. I'm the attending surgeon and I have every right to. This is a matter of national security. The agent's voice was flat, final. You can cooperate or we can have this conversation somewhere less comfortable. Brennan looked at Vance. Vance nodded slowly. She left, but Elena could feel her anger radiating back through the closing door. The past was supposed to stay buried. 4 years of careful construction, new name, new life, new identity built on obscurity and night shifts and staying invisible. Gone. All of it gone in 90 seconds of surgery. Walsh shifted in the bed, winced. "Tell them." The first agent pulled out a file. Actual paper, old school. "Captain Elena Reyes, Army Combat Surgeon, 75th Ranger Regiment, 3 tours, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq." He read from the file but kept his eyes on Elena. 847 documented trauma surgeries in field conditions, 16 commendations, 3 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts. Vance's face changed. Why would someone with that record be pushing a mop in my hospital? No one answered. Walsh coughed, blood tinged. "Show them the shrapnel you pulled from my chest." The second agent produced an evidence bag. The fragments inside irregular, purpose-built. Elena had seen the pattern before, had seen it in field hospitals and bombed-out buildings in places that still visited her in dreams. "This wasn't a convoy accident." Walsh's voice was getting stronger. "I was targeted. Assassination attempt. The shrapnel is designed to migrate, to kill slowly, specifically placed to avoid immediate detection." Elena's hands tightened on the bed rail. She knew that design, knew the precise angle of entry, the calculated trajectory, the surgical knowledge required to make a weapon that efficient. "That's Volkov's signature." The words came out before she could stop them. Walsh nodded. "I was hoping you'd recognize it." The first agent's eyes narrowed. "You know Volkov?" "We trained together." Elena's voice was hollow. Before he decided selling weapons was more profitable than saving lives. "He was Russian military," Walsh said. "Brilliant surgeon. Then he disappeared. Started supplying both sides in Syria. Elena and her team were tracking him when." He stopped, looked at Elena. She didn't want him to finish. "When what?" Vance asked. "When her entire unit was ambushed." The agent's voice was quiet. 17 casualties. She was the only survivor. The room went silent. Walsh shifted again. "The surgery you just performed, it's on every security camera in this hospital, facial recognition software. Within the hour, anyone looking for you will know exactly where you are." "He knows you're alive now," the second agent said. 4 years of hiding, finished. The monitor next to Walsh's bed started beeping. Different rhythm, alert tone. A nurse rushed in. "We have 2 more incoming. Same presentation, shrapnel wounds, targeted attacks, different locations across the city." Vance's tablet buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face went white. "Trauma Bay is calling. The injuries are. They're saying the entry wounds don't match any standard pattern. The attending can't." "Locate the bleeders." Brennan's voice came from the doorway. She'd never really left. Just stood outside, listening. "I can't." She stepped inside, pride gone, replaced by something raw. "These entry wounds don't make sense." Elena closed her eyes, opened them. "They're not supposed to." Vance moved closer. "If you can save them, I'll reinstate your credentials, temporarily. Emergency authorization." "This is insane," Brennan started. Elena cut her off. "It's a trap. He wants me in that OR, wants me visible, exposed, operating where he can find me." Walsh tried to sit up, failed. "And if you're not?" The nurse's phone buzzed. Her face went pale. 3 more incoming, critical, ETA 4 minutes. 5 victims, all with Volkov's signature, all designed to be impossible, all designed to force her hand. Elena looked at her hands, steady. After 4 years of keeping them still, they were finally steady again. "Get me a trauma team." She turned to Brennan, met her eyes. "Real one this time." Brennan straightened, still processing, still angry, but something else in her face now. Recognition maybe, respect, fear. "You're about to learn combat surgery." Elena moved toward the door, toward the trauma bay, toward everything she'd been running from. Try to keep up. 3 operating rooms, simultaneously prepped. Elena moved between them like a general deploying troops. Brennan in OR 1, Dr. Kovac in OR 2, Dr. Patel in OR 3, each with a victim, each with injuries designed to be impossible. "Listen carefully." Elena's voice cut through the chaos. "You're not operating. You're executing a mission. Every movement matters. Every second counts. There is no room for hesitation." Brennan opened her mouth to protest. Elena kept talking. "Or 1, you have shrapnel against the aorta. Or 2, multiple organ involvement with migration pattern. Or 3, intercostal penetration with suspected cardiac tamponade." A scrub nurse stepped forward. "Dr. Reyes, We don't have authorization for... You have authorization from me. Move! The nurse didn't move. Elena turned, made eye contact. The nurse saw something there that made her step back, made her nod, made her start moving. The federal agents watched from the observation deck, Vance beside them, taking notes, recording everything. This wasn't medicine anymore. This was war. Or one. Brennan scrubbed in, her hands shaking, just slightly, just enough that Elena noticed. The patient on the table, male, late 20s, the shrapnel visible on the imaging, pressed against the aorta, one wrong move and he'd bleed out in seconds. Brennan made the first incision. Her hands trembled, the scalpel wavered. Elena's voice came from behind her, cold, precise. Fear kills patients, move. Brennan froze. Elena stepped closer, gloved hands already sterile. You're thinking about what happens if you fail. Stop. Think only about the next movement, the next millimeter. Nothing else exists. She guided Brennan's hand, showed her the angle, the pressure, the exact trajectory needed. Clamp. Brennan reached, too slow. Elena took over, her hands moving with that impossible speed again, the kind born from field hospitals and incoming fire and patients dying faster than you could count them. Retract, the tissue pulled back. Visualize the bleeder. There, the aorta, the shrapnel, 3 millimeters of margin, maybe less. 3 millimeter margin, no more, no less. Elena's fingers worked, removing the fragment with precision that made the OR staff lean closer, made them forget to breathe. The shrapnel came free. The aorta held. No rupture, no bleed. The monitor stayed steady. Brennan exhaled, didn't realize she'd been holding her breath. Timestamp on the wall clock. 19 minutes elapsed. Barely. Between surgeries, Elena studied the shrapnel fragments laid out on the sterile tray. Turned them over, examined the markings, serial numbers etched into the metal, barely visible, but there. She knew those numbers, had tracked them across 3 countries, had documented them in reports that went nowhere, had watched them disappear into diplomatic immunity and bureaucratic red tape. The federal agent appeared at her elbow. How do you know this? Elena didn't answer immediately. Her mind was somewhere else, desert, screaming, the field hospital in ruins, her team operating under fire, literally. Mortar rounds hitting close enough to shake the instruments off the trays, a face across the battlefield, through the smoke, through the chaos, Volkov, watching. He was selling to both sides, her voice hollow. We didn't know until it was too late. Or 2. The second victim coding, flatline, then back, then flatline again. Multiple organ involvement. The shrapnel had migrated. Was still migrating, moving through tissue like it was designed to. Like someone with surgical knowledge had calculated the exact trajectory. Elena in full command now, Brennan assisting. The dynamic shifted. In Mosul, we had 30 seconds and a flashlight. Elena's hands never stopped moving. You have a fully equipped OR. Use it. Brennan asked questions now, real ones, technical ones. The angle? 23 degrees, exactly. Pressure on the retractor? Enough to visualize, not enough to traumatize. The dialogue rhythm changed. Teacher and student, combat veteran and willing recruit. This save was cleaner, faster, 17 minutes. Brennan watched Elena with different eyes now, the anger gone, replaced by something like awe, like recognition of someone operating on a level she'd only read about in journals. The doors burst open. 3rd victim on a gurney, crash team doing compressions, already coding, already gone, DOA, dead on arrival. But Elena examined the body anyway, pulled back the sheet, studied the wound pattern, found something. Her hands stopped, reached into the wound cavity, pulled out a fragment different from the others, folded, deliberate, a note, embedded in the shrapnel, coordinates, timestamp, location, her old field hospital in Mosul. The date, 4 years ago. Brennan saw Elena's face go white, saw her hands start to shake for the first time since this started. What is it? Elena's voice barely audible. The day my team died. The OR went silent. Elena forced herself to speak, to explain, words coming out mechanical, detached, the only way she could get through them. Mosul, 2019. My entire surgical team, ambushed. She stripped off her gloves, couldn't look at anyone. Volkov provided the intelligence, sold it to the enemy, told them exactly where we'd be, exactly when. We were operating, couldn't evacuate, couldn't defend. Her voice cracked. 17 people died. My team, my friends, my. She stopped. Couldn't say it. Brennan said it for her. Your fiancé. Elena nodded. He was a surgeon too. We were supposed to. After the deployment, we were. She pressed her palms against the table, steadied herself. I was in surgery when the attack came, couldn't leave the patient. By the time I finished, everyone else was gone. Just bodies. Just... Vance's voice came over the intercom. Urgent. We have a situation. The hospital loudspeaker crackled to life. A voice, accented, calm, terrifyingly calm. This is a message for Dr. Elena Reyes. You have 10 minutes to present yourself in the main lobby, or I detonate the devices I've placed throughout the emergency department. Volkov. Here, in the building, the federal agents on comms, confirming. Explosives detected, multiple devices. Patients can't be evacuated in time. Walsh's voice, weak, from his ICU bed. He's been planning this since Damascus. You're the objective. You've always been the objective. 200 patients, staff, visitors, all of them hostages, all of them leverage. Brennan stepped forward. I'll go. I can pretend to be you. Buy time. Elena looked at her. He'll know. Then teach me enough. Enough to make him hesitate. First, genuine respect between them. First, real connection beyond the anger and the judgment and the institutional hierarchy. But Elena shook her head. No. She removed her surgical gown. Let it fall. This ends with me. Brennan moved to block her path. You can't just surrender. Elena walked past her. I'm not surrendering. Toward the lobby. Toward Volkov. Toward everything she'd been running from for 4 years. The federal agents intercepted her. What's the plan? Elena checked the medical tools she'd concealed in her pockets. Scalpel, clamp, suture kit, the weapons of her trade. Same as Mosul. Remove the threat at the source. Walsh's voice crackled over the comms someone had given her. He's not just an arms dealer, Elena. He's a surgeon. He'll be prepared for you. Elena's face hardened. I know. That's why he'll expect a fair fight. She paused at the hallway entrance, looked back at Brennan, at the ORs, at the life she'd built and lost and found again in the span of hours. He won't get one. Then she walked into the lobby, alone. The lobby was quiet, too quiet. 50 hostages scattered across the floor, patients in wheelchairs, visitors frozen mid-step, staff with hands raised, all of them staring at the man in the center, Volkov. 3 armed men flanking him, professional, military bearing, the detonator visible in his left hand, thumb resting on the trigger, not pressing, not yet, just resting, a promise. Elena entered, hands visible, empty, raised to shoulder height. Volkov's face changed when he saw her, almost smiled, almost friendly. He spoke in Russian. Elena Mikhailovna, it has been too long, she answered in the same language. Not long enough. Your technique has not deteriorated. I watched the security footage, the subclavian repair. Elegant, precise. You always had the steadiest hands. Is that why you're here? Professional jealousy? He laughed, switched to English, for the audience, for the cameras he knew were watching. I'm here to finish what I started in Mosul. I took your life once, your team, your future, your identity. He gestured with the detonator. Casual, like conducting an orchestra. Now I take your legacy, frame you for these attacks, make the world believe Elena Reyes was never a hero, just a fraud, a failure, someone who faked credentials and killed patients. Elena took a step closer. You could have stayed hidden, stayed rich. Why this? Because you testified against me, because you made me run, because for 4 years I have rebuilt my empire while you pushed mops and hid like a coward. Another step. And now I will destroy you twice. Elena's strategy was simple. Get close enough. Close enough that when the moment came, she could move faster than he could think. What do you want? Her voice softer now, surrendering. You want me to confess? I'll confess. Volkov's eyes narrowed. Kneel. She hesitated, just long enough to sell it, then slowly dropped to her knees. The position strategic. Weight on the balls of her feet, hands still visible but coiled, ready. Distance to detonator, 2.3 meters. Response time if he pressed the trigger, 1.1 seconds. Acceptable odds. In the security room, Walsh watched the feeds, the federal agents beside him, unable to intervene. Too many hostages, too much risk. She has a plan, Walsh said. She always has a plan. Outside, camera crews gathered, media vans, the story going live. Streaming to thousands, tens of thousands. Volkov pulled out his phone, opened the camera, started recording. Confess to the media, tell them you faked your credentials. Tell them the patients you saved today were staged. Tell them Elena Reyes is a fraud. He held the phone toward her, the red recording light blinking. Or I detonate, 200 people die, and you live with that. Again, Elena's face crumpled, just slightly, just enough to look broken. What do you want me to say? In the OR, Brennan watched the feed, her hands gripping the edge of the monitor. Then she noticed something. Elena's hand positions, the exact placement of her fingers, the tension in her forearms, the same stance she'd used in surgery. Before she moved. She's not surrendering, Brennan whispered. She's preparing. Elena looked up at Volkov, met his eyes. I'm sorry you were never as good as you thought you were. Then she moved, single motion, impossibly fast. Her hand shot out, grabbed the nearest guard's weapon, twisted. The gun came free. She fired, not at Volkov, at the detonator. The device exploded in his hand. Shrapnel, blood, his scream. The federal agents breached simultaneously. Doors, windows, tactical team flooding in, chaos, gunfire, screaming, hostages diving for cover. Volkov lunged for something, backup detonator, hidden in his jacket. His right hand ruined, but his left still working. Elena tackled him. They went down hard. 2 surgeons, both trained in combat, both understanding human anatomy at a level most people never would. He knew where to strike to disable. She knew where to block to survive. His fist aimed for her throat, carotid. She deflected, barely, her elbow to his solar plexus, perfect placement. He gasped, couldn't breathe. You killed them because they were better than you. Her voice in his ear, cold, controlled, furious. Because they had honor and skill, and you only had greed. He got his hand on the backup detonator. She broke his wrist, the snap audible even over the chaos. Federal agents pulled her off, secured Volkov, restrained him, but he was bleeding, badly. The gunshot that destroyed the first detonator had sent shrapnel into his chest, upper thorax, subclavian artery, the same injury he'd designed for his victims. Poetic justice. He looked at Elena, blood running from his mouth. You won't save me, breathing hard. You can't. Everyone watching. Federal agents, hostages, staff, the cameras still streaming, the world watching. The test of who she really was. Elena's hands hovered over his wound, trembling now, finally trembling. Flashback. Her team's faces, her fiancé smiling at her across the surgical tent. All the dead, all the loss, all the years of grief and hiding and broken pieces. Brennan's voice over the comms. Elena, you don't have to. Elena's hand steadied. Yes, I do. She dropped to her knees, tore open his shirt, applied pressure, direct, controlled. Started field stabilization with supplies from her pockets. The same techniques she'd used to save Walsh, the same techniques she'd used to save hundreds. Volkov stared at her, shocked. Why? Elena didn't look at him, focused on the wound, on stopping the bleeding, on doing what she'd trained her entire life to do. Because I'm a surgeon, compression, clamp, suture, and you're going to stand trial. The FBI took him away in restraints, medics stabilizing him for transport. He'd live, he'd face justice, he'd answer for Mosul. Finally. Dr. Vance approached, tablet in hand. Full license reinstatement, effective immediately, no restrictions. He paused. I'm also offering you the position of Director of Trauma Surgery. We need someone who can build a program, train the next generation, someone who understands what it means to operate under impossible conditions. Media outside, the footage already viral. Hero narrative building, the hidden veteran, the dramatic reveal, the impossible saves. Brennan appeared, still in scrubs, walked straight to Elena, the cameras catching everything. I was wrong, her voice steady, public, genuine. About everything, about you, about what qualifies someone to save lives. I owe you an apology. We all do. Hours later, the hospital quiet again. Elena stood in an empty OR, alone, looking at her hands under the surgical lights, steady. After 4 years of keeping them still, of hiding what they could do, they were finally steady again. The door opened. Walsh, in a wheelchair, still recovering but alive. The agency could use someone like you, consultancy position, your own terms. Elena shook her head. I'm done with agencies. Pause. But I'm not done with surgery. Brennan entered, stopped beside Walsh. We need you here. I need you here. She held out a folder. Proposal. Combat Trauma Surgery Fellowship Program. Comprehensive. Ambitious. Help me build this. Train others. Military veterans transitioning to civilian medicine. ER doctors who want advanced training. Create something that lasts. Elena took the folder, read through it, saw the vision, saw the possibility, saw 17 names listed in the dedication, her team, her friends, her fiancé. Yes. Not triumphant, not celebratory, just peaceful. Finally, peaceful. Let's build something that matters. 6 months later. The program had a waiting list, 73 applications for 12 positions in the Combat Trauma Surgery Fellowship. They came from everywhere. Military veterans transitioning to civilian medicine, ER doctors wanting advanced training, international surgeons who'd heard the stories. Elena stood before the first class, 12 faces watching her with that mixture of respect and fear she remembered from her own training. This program exists because 17 exceptional people died doing what we're about to teach you. She held up a scalpel, the handle engraved with names, small, precise, each letter a memorial. Their names are engraved on this instrument. Every tool in this room carries a name. You'll learn them all. Brennan watched from the observation deck. Co-director now, partner, friend. The monitors showed vitals from their first training simulation. Heart rates climbing, pressure building, the familiar stress of high-stakes medicine. But the hands on screen moving with precision, with confidence, with the kind of steady certainty that came from excellent teaching. Steady, precise, perfect. Just like she'd taught them, just like Mosul. But this time, everyone was coming home.